catch, joy, what, blah. It happens every once in a while. It's a tick. Joy in the journey, I think, is what I was meaning to say. Catching up on where we are. Finally, we're able to leave Denver, Colorado to Texas. We wanted to go down south to get, obviously, into warmer weather. So we went to Texas.
This was the 1st of February.
We went into like this forest area.
Sam Houston National Forest.
Oh, that was awesome. We were
beautiful.
Boondocking. That's what boondocking looks like, guys. That is boondocking. What you see right now, there's nothing else around, just trees and you and nature, and that is just the beauty of the rig, I think, you know?
Yeah, we broke out the TRX band, started exercising again, which felt good for us. And I'm watching as navigator. I also watch the weather so that I know where we're going and if the weather will be conducive. A lot of times we get there and the weather's nothing like the weather app said it was going to be. But I was watching these storms come into Texas. All of Texas is either going to be under snow or be under rain. So we just decided that we would at least rather have rain, so let's go to the beach. So we woke up, it was a Thursday morning, and... It was
a Thursday morning I'll never forget in my life. We're gonna tell you guys step by step everything that happened that day, and you will not believe that could happen in 24 hours.
Just one day.
Just one day. I had a great morning.
Yeah, we woke up, had God time.
Yeah.
And as we were having God time, we hear this like tremendous rip and crash.
It's like one huge gust of wind. It caught the awning, pushed it up, and then ripped the awning. One of the brackets twisted up top. It's a dead awning and it's hanging onto the rig now. Like, you take these things with stride. And you're like, I can complain about it or I can just deal with it, right? So I take my drill up there to free up and take a knife and cut the awning off. I broke a drill bit up there as well.
And we want to do the responsible thing. We don't want to leave it in the National Forest. And so...
And don't leave stuff in the National Forest, people.
Yeah.
Come on, we've seen too much of it. We put it in the rig.
And we were willing to pay a couple dollars, but we didn't really think that we should have to pay, $60 or $70 or $100 to dispose of something the correct way.
Which is legitimately what they were saying we had to pay.
Yeah. Not one of them said that they would take it and dispose of it.
There's a lot of them that even said most people would just leave it on the side of the road. And I was like,
we don't want to do
that.
We don't want to do that.
So we held on to that.
And we held on to it. It's like big, taking up all this space in the rig.
Everybody's like, hey, what? Can you pass some? What's going on?
Well, and it wasn't connected, so it kept unfolding.
Ugh.
So it was like unfolding and swaying. Anyway, it was just a mess.
So now we're gonna pull into the laundromat. Carrie's gonna go in with the kids and do laundry.
Do clients.
Yeah.
And I had mapped out again.
Did some research.
I did research, especially because we're in a new city. We don't know anything about Houston.
As soon as we commit to that drive and go into that business, we're like, oh no.
Bars on the window. That was the first sign. So there was a laundromat and then a car wash, and you barely had enough room between the two to pull into the car wash. And we had pulled the rig in right there because there was nowhere else for us to go. The parking lot was so small. And so these guys were over by the car wash.
And they're just hanging out. Some of them definitely looked questionable, but there was this guy wearing a reflective jacket, and I was like, well, maybe he's a security guard or something. And they're just staring at me. So I rolled down the window, and I was like, hey, what's up? And this guy doesn't say a word, just walks all the way up to the window, stares in there, and then his boys start calling him back, like, hey, come here, go back over here. And I was like, we really need to get going here.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, so Carrie's like, we got to get out of here.
Well, I'm watching, again, it's raining, and I'm watching these cars pull into the car wash. And I'm like, well, why would you do that? It's raining. But then these men are approaching those cars, and the cars are hurrying, leaving. And I look at William and I was like... Some of them
are creepily hanging out.
Yeah, so it's just it's total sketchy. We're not feeling good. It's literally like, you need to get out. But we're stuck. We're kind of stuck in this
can't-
mode. You can't.
You can't back up with a towed vehicle.
Yep,
Because
it's not like
the
a trailer.
front wheels articulate. So it's not that you need a lot of skill to do it. You can't do it.
Yeah,
it's not
it has
like
to be
backing up a
unhooked.
trailer.
Yeah, it has to be unhooked.
There's a dumpster in front of me, and there's a alley that goes back. And at first we were thinking, we'll just swing around the alley, but we don't know if it goes through or not. So I said, if there is enough room to fit the awning, then I can throw the awning away, and I can also take my eyeball down the alley and see if it goes through. It does not. But there is enough room in that dumpster for the awning. So I go back, grab the awning. Now I'm scoping out the car wash, and that's when we see this guy take a beeline to his truck like he's running for his life. And he lights out of there, tires squalling a little bit. I was like...
Yeah, I looked at William and I was like, we need to call the police. Like, this is bad.
But about that time, the police show up. Like, okay, so here's our shot. Here's our window. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Carrie's not sure if we're going to be able to fit, but I think we can.
Okay, so I am adamant.
And I was thinking if we did, then I could always unhook the Jeep then. But when we turned into the stall, there was just one pipe that's coming down that was too long. But now the Jeep is turning really hard. So there's a lot of tension on those pins to release the Jeep. And that's when we hear the crunch from the air conditioning cover.
Yeah.
So, and it's plastic, and it just dented in and popped back out. So it's okay. But we heard it and stopped, and we're like, oh no. Well, so now I look in my backup camera, and the guy with the jacket
now he
has
has
a
a
mask.
ski mask on. And I couldn't be more freaked out. I was
Full on
like,
ski mask.
We're gonna die. Like, we are gonna die in this car wash, and our rig can't get out. And then William's like, I've got to get out and unhook the Jeep. I was like, are you nuts?
This guy is already at the back messing with the connections on the Jeep. Mm-hmm. He's touching them. He's got his hands on my Jeep as I go back. Uh-huh. Which I went back and was like, hey man, how's it going?
So I'm watching in the backup camera. I'm like crouched in the cockpit. William has to keep coming in and out of the cockpit.
Back up a little bit.
So that the Jeep can loosen that tension on the tow bar. And so every time I'm like locking the door, unlocking the door for him so that he can just come in and do it real quick. And I was keeping my eye also on the police officers talking to the other 4 guys that are over to the right. And I'm just seeing William and this guy interact. Like, this is seriously so bad. And he comes in at one point and I'm like, you are like cool as a cucumber. What are you doing?
I like look over at her. I turn around. I'm like, I'm just trying not to get shot.
Just try not to die. So stressful. But finally, he gets the Jeep. I jump out of the rig right next to the Jeep, jump in the Jeep, and we just take off. And now we're 30 minutes from his client. And he just pulls right in next to this big giant sign
that has a guide wire going down that I did not notice in my frantic trying to get to my clients.
Comes back out, and now it's dark. It's rainy. So we pull out, and there is another
loud crash and bang.
Day.
Like, what is it? So we get out to take a look. It's torn one of the awnings and
over the bedroom slide.
Yep, and then it popped the one of the brackets off that used to hold the old awning that tore off earlier that day.
Let's just get to the beach and then we can set up and be fine.
Finally, it's over, right?
So let's just get out of this city.
No kick on Houston. Houston's awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful place, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it was awesome. We didn't get to see it. So I plug in GPS.
Have you ever had that issue with your iPhone where you're like, you plug in the navigation, do you want tolls? No. Oh, okay, well, you can do whatever you want. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Then I'm just going to route you to the toll. That happened to us like
3 or 4
times. It's rerouting itself to the toll road. Now it's like 9 p.m. and just like pouring outside.
Now I'm in like an old highway, 2-lane highway kind of thing. Look, we've got to flip around and just get out of here because now so narrow and small, and I'm 60 feet long. So I've got to be able to turn around. So I find an area that looks pretty good.
So I kind of had the thought of like, I don't know if we should do it, and I'm sure William did too. And he went for it.
Thick clay mud. Get in there and we're like, you know, and I'm like, oh no. I do everything that I know how to do. I'm putting stuff underneath the tires, getting real close to buried up to the axles. So at this point, you know, I'm a fairly cool-headed, calm guy. It takes a lot to get me excited, but I was excited. So I snapped a few pictures. I wish now that I would have recorded some video, but I was not in a mental, emotional state of mind to do any kind of videos, and you wouldn't have wanted to see that guy.
So at one point, William comes in. He's like, where is the diesel strap?
I am going to attach that through the bumper of the rig onto the frame, and then attach it to our Jeep bumper, which is a barricade bumper. Very solid.
Yeah.
Need you to drive the rig. This is her first time to drive the rig, by the way. And I'm going to drive the Jeep. And she's like, so you're going to pull a 17,000 pound vehicle out with a 4,000 pound vehicle? And I'm like, yeah.
So we have, again, our radios. He said, well, when will I know to stop?
And I look behind us, and behind us, it's open. I mean, it's really open. 10, 15, 20 yards. Fine. Straight back.
I'll just push on the gas and yell stop when I need to stop.
Can't really fault her because I communicated differently. But so now I'm in the Jeep, and you know, I don't have to pull the rig out, right? I just have to get the wheels moving. That's all I have to do. So Carrie's really gotten on it, and she's moving those tires. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to open it up. I hit everything I've got. So it lit up all my tires. I slide completely sideways. I'm on the side of the rig now, and the rig starts pulling back, and now we're both going to the right, but we're getting out of there. So I'm super happy. And I get on the radio, and I'm like, that's good. It's good, you know? I said that I was going to say stop, and she's super like,
I'm already tense and freaked out. Well, I'm thinking he says something and I don't hear him, right? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, it didn't work. Go harder. So I pushed on the pedal, floored it to the metal, and all of a sudden I just hear him yelling, you hit the Jeep! Stop! You have got to be kidding. I just burst into tears.
I was retreating from the rig for a while, just coming back, you know? But eventually I couldn't retreat anymore, and then the rig's just coming at me. Boom, you know? It hit in a way that the tow bar slid between the bumper and the tire. So it's tire, tow bar, bumper. In the back, the reason why I couldn't retreat anymore is I hit a mailbox, and somehow the bike rack on the Jeep popped up over the mailbox. So it's bikes, mailbox, Jeep.
I mean, tender mercy of the Lord all over the place. So we get the rig out. The tow bar isn't ruined at all. The Jeep isn't ruined at all.
The mailbox wasn't hurt.
Mailbox wasn't hurt. I mean,
which was crazy.
It was crazy. But finally, I was like, God doesn't want us to go to the beach.
We're not going to the beach.
We're not going to the beach.
I was fine with anything. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. It's like 11 midnight.
Truck stop.
Pull into the truck stop, and it's really busy, and so we kind of have to do a loop around. And again, it's like for the one last time, I'm like, we're never going to make this turn in our 60 long foot rig, and we should unhook the Jeep. And sure enough, we didn't unhook the Jeep, and we didn't make it. So here we are, blocking the entrance off the freeway. I am praying a diesel doesn't come barreling down and slam right into us. Anyway, that was a mess.
That'll be fine.
Thankfully, we weren't stuck. No one was hurt. We didn't get hit. And we finally got the Jeep unhooked. We got the rig, pulled into a parking spot, and we finally crashed. I think it was 1 a.m.
One day in the life of Joy and the Journey.